Are you ready for the golden age? The Quantum Galaxy Network presents Making Life Brighter on the Voice America Variety Channel, where we prepare you and the planet for the golden age. Making Life Brighter features experts in their field and visionaries sharing their unique keys for sustainability on Earth, including all cutting-edge healing modalities, consciousness training, and natural healing. Tune in every Thursday for valuable golden nuggets of universal harmony and coherency with body, mind, and spirit. Each week, Winifred introduces you to thought leaders, best-selling authors, influencers, and Grammy Award-winning musicians. Making Life Brighter is your source for inspiring us to live in cooperation and purpose as we prepare for the golden age and beyond. The Quantum Galaxy Network invites you to join Making Life Brighter as we prepare for the golden age. Making Life Brighter is your forum for healing, inspiring, and uplifting entertainment. Here is your host, Winifred Adams.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're going jolly out there today. We have a super special show for you today, and I am so happy to have our very special return guest. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for tuning in each week, especially this month as we're featuring our special assistants to Trauma to Triumph and pets that are in a disadvantaged situation, because we are featuring some of the finest products on the planet, some of the purest products on the planet, like DHA, super algae, the algae oil, the hemp oil, and the pine needle. And today we're going to have Lance back again, and he's going to talk about that pine needle and why it's so very special. So we'll get to that as we go along. And thank you for purchasing. Thank you for helping yourself, your pet, and for those that are the victims of human trafficking. So we had a wonderful show last week with Monica and Lance, and Monica is a serious proponent for helping those that are either in danger or that have been victimized. And super shout out to her organization, Trauma to Triumph, and we will continue on with that as we go further here on Making Life Brighter. You can check out the special supplements that we're doing on YouTube as well. But not to delay, we have an incredible show for you today. We have special return guest, Commander, Full Colon Commander and Chief, Full Colon Russell-Jay Gould. Welcome back, Russell.
Thank you, Winifred. It's an honor to be here.
Russell, just so you can know all of his actual titles, he is holding the job positions as the Vatican City Keymaster, State Vatican City of Europe. He is the Comptroller of the Global Postal Currencies. He is the Muster Master, the Navy and the Pentagon. He is the Foreign Postal Military and the Foreign Postal Military. He is technically the Full Colon Postmaster - General of Planet Earth. What does that mean? Russell, welcome back. We've had you on the show many times, and I am honored to have you here, especially in lieu of your new film that's about to drop on the 21st on the solstice, called Full Colon Piercing - Dynasty. And this is a follow-up to your previous film, which was The Last Flag Standing. And I want to just touch on this. Why the colons and the hyphens? What valuation do they have?
Well, Winifred, colons in front of facts pinpoint and lock facts into a factual position. Just as you have on your clock, you have 11:07. That translates to 11:07. But if you were to take the colon out, 11 now would be subjective interpretation of 07, and you would lose the value of what you're trying to articulate, which is time. Therefore, because numbers are nouns and people are nouns and facts are nouns, you use colons and hyphens to make compound facts to maintain the volition of what you're trying to articulate in communication.
Well, Russell, with all these titles that you hold, which you actually are the title holder of, based on your own personal performances since 1999, maybe even before, we've talked over time on this show about some of the performances that led you to these positions of authority. But I want to ask you and just jump in right away. What is the greatest threat to our nation today?
The greatest threat to the nation today is yourself itself. Everyone has the choice to come from within to manifest out to the world. So the complication becomes with the battle from within each mankind on planet Earth. So as we look at ourselves, which is the battlefront, we correct that in a way where we put a value on moral values or we don't, right? So the true opponent of each person is each person, because each person controls the world around them in their now space. So the choices that they make, the choices that they don't make have consequences, and those consequences now manifest to the world about who you are, which is either good or the problem.
Well, you had recognized the problem, and you corrected the problem in what you call the duty to stop and correct as the postmaster. And you corrected the problem on all fronts. Then this problem of fraudulent banking, of fraudulent governments, is encroaching quicker and quicker upon the people now. So a few years ago, you actually tried to stave off the position that we're finding ourselves in today, and you filed in at the Supreme Court. Why did you file into Russia and China in January 2020 and commanding them not to invade us now?
Well, most governments around the world know that the position of the President of the United States ended in the year 1999. So they're playing a game against the general public to actually think that there's an actual president, right? The concept of the president in the former United States of America and the United States ended in 1999 with the end of the third and final bankruptcy of the United States government. When the government came out of bankruptcy, we had taken their capacity to create contracts because we took the copyrights of the flags away from the former rogue element government being a president. In the presidential election of 2000, they had to vacate the estate of the presidency, which was they created the Florida Chads, which now moved the guidelines or the goalpost to make a claim on what a president is or who a president is. And they moved it into an opinion under a certiorari, a writ of certiorari, which is a pronoun adverb verb through the U.S. Supreme Court, taking the will of the people out of play because the guidelines for the people ended with the end of the bankruptcy and the end of the Constitution of the United States of America. So with this in mind, the governments of the world are very cognizant that there is no president. So to safeguard the security of the people and mankind of this continent, of the former United States, I filed a command in as Commander-in-Chief, Postmaster General, and Chief Judge at the U.S. Supreme Court, which I am all three. And if you watch my documentary at Last Flag Standing, and you watch the new documentary coming out, Piercing-Dynasty, will give the general public full closure on these techniques. My goal was to make sure that the governments, because the post office controls the military in China and Russia, and the post office for China Post and the Russian post office works for the Universal Postal Union. And I am the Postmaster General as the private trust on grammar, which I hold the copyrights to in 2001 to disqualify the shipping lanes for military movement on planet Earth. Therefore, I made a command in to that serve system to position so that no troops could move in.
Does that actually thwart them? I mean, they see this coming into them as grammar. Can they read that? Do they understand this command?
Well, they don't have a choice because they're a fiction. Therefore, fiction and fact can never meet, only during time of contract and only based principle to principle. So since they don't exist as a fact because they're a fraudulent corporation, which has been disqualified through credentialing, therefore their credential now is a false and misleading corporation, only playing upon the unfortunate education of the general public. So as the general public educates itself, it now self-cleans the fiction corporations to come this way.
Does it actually stop them from moving? And does it stop them from putting a missile across to somewhere? I mean, it seems like rogue elements are rogue elements.
Yeah, rogue elements are rogue elements, no doubt about it. But the volition of mankind and the space-time continuum will control the facts here. And the facts are is the space-time continuum, and those of us who are in that mechanic simply keep moving forward in the now space, and those techniques we manifest that are not bombing our fellow mankind. So we are safeguarding through manifesting thoughts on not allowing missiles to come into our place of our now space.
So what you're actually saying is the power of the now space and the quantum grammar as used in communication with the now space is much more powerful as a paradigm than the old paradigm, and hence the title of the film?
Yes, in fact, there is no old paradigm because there's nothing new under the sun. And so the old paradigm doesn't exist anymore. It's just a matter of the general public controlling their own space. And this is what I've given the tender to the world, is to allow sovereignty on an individual basis for those who can communicate in correct communication, parsing, syntax, grammar, to now control their now space in their business structures as well as for their loved ones and their families.
Well, some people are saying you're sovereign because you're born, and therefore you're sovereign unto God. How does your system safeguard people particularly, and is it necessary if you're sovereign unto God when you're born?
Well, you are sovereign unto God as you are born. That is a true statement. However, when you enter the world of corporate business to maneuver yourself as a sovereign, they've turned it into a shipping containment. And then in that shipping containment, that's where I've restructured the guidelines on a galactic and global structure form to now give a different paradigm to allow the sovereign to now enter into corporate function to have the bailments of his goods for his sovereignty.
You go into this in depth in the film, and it's a carryover with much more information following up on your previous film, Last Flag Standing. So Piercing - Dynasty goes into the authority that you have and how you actually took hold of that authority in the corrections as you went around the world and said, I see this is fraudulent and that's fraudulent. I have a duty to stop and correct as a postmaster. Now, all the postmasters coming underneath you have a duty to stop and correct where they see this fraud too. Do they hold the same authorizations as you do?
Well, they come in and they're not a shareholder in corporate structure, so they can't change the guidelines of the buoy system that's been set up. However, they hold the capacity to control the destiny of their divine space. And I do not trespass with that as long as they stay within the paradigm of the buoy system of safety that it's been set up on a galactic level.
Why is the buoy system necessary?
Buoy systems are necessary because they classify the body of a being as a vessel. And so under maritime law of shipping, vessels have names and vessels have numbers. So the construct that I've set up is you are in the world, but you are not of the world. And so the shipping buoy mechanics of safe haven now are relevant for the vessel movement of your vessel body in the corporate world that's been set up.
For most people, this is a bit of a leap, but actually if you sit with this and contemplate it for a bit and really look at it, and when you watch the film, you'll have much more closure as to what this is. Now, we spoke in the past briefly about Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris also knows the grammar, and it's interesting that she got put into place, and I say that specifically as the quote-unquote vice president. How does she communicate with you using the grammar, or does she?
She does not communicate with me. She was a business partner with my ex-business partner, David Wincole Miller, who is dead. And David trained her up on the quantum grammar when she was a DA in California. I made a choice not to be on the contracts with the two of them.
And why? Actually...
basing on the fact that on the contract itself that they were involved with, I felt as citizens that were the victims on contract should have been paid before the Attorney General's office.
Mm-hmm.
David and Kamala refused to put that sentence on the paperwork. Therefore, I withdrew my name from consideration on contract. And Kamala and I turned around to David and I said, she's going to steal from you, which she did right on cue. And David lost control of his vessels, and Kamala walked away with a big paycheck, paying off the California debt and doing everything for her personal life, making her a bona fide thief, which would put her in position perfectly to be a vice president of a fraudulent corporation that doesn't exist, thieves to thieves. So she qualified.
And now there's a rumor that she is the commander of the Space Force. What do you think about that?
Space Force is a fraudulent organization based upon a fraudulent president because all concepts of presidents ceased to exist in 1999. Therefore, Space Force itself is a rogue corporate function with no assignment of authority.
And in this case, so there is no authority, there's no vice president, there's no current president. How is all this functioning and continuing to function in this farce?
Well, the farce of Congress continuing to act like they exist, the media engineering, the social engineering of society, allowing the education of the general public to not know that the United States ceased to exist in 1999. So it is a combination of social engineering as well as bad actors in theater acting as a rogue element to destroy the moral value of family as well as the moral value of what governments and health is supposed to be for our general public, and they are a public safety hazard.
We're talking to Russell-Jay Gould today, and he is here to talk about his brand new film that's going to drop next week on the 21st on the solstice called Piercing-Dynasty. Piercing-Dynasty is the follow-up to his previous film, Last Flag Standing, and now you are going to find out why this man has the authority he does and how he has worked his entire life to safeguard you, the people of the world. We'll be right back with more right here on Making Life Brighter Radio with Russell-Jay Gould, Postmaster General of Planet Earth.
Having trouble sleeping at night? Needing better digestion? How would you like to optimize your body? Have more peace inside and be stress-free instantly? You can get your own personalized body system analysis by leading medical intuitive and body system health expert, Winifred Adams. Do you know someone who could benefit from a better immune system or a healthier body? Align your health today and make your appointment for your body system analysis with leading medical intuitive and master healer, Winifred Adams. Go to makinglifebrighter.com and request an appointment. Be sure to put radio special along with your name to receive a one-time offer of $50 off your comprehensive analysis. Book your 1-hour analysis today. Be sure to look for the app on iTunes coming soon and find out more about classes, seminars, and how to sign up for the quantum healing meditations. Get into alignment, body, mind, and soul. Go to makinglifebrighter.com and request your appointment today. Be sure to mention radio special along with your name. A brighter, healthier you awaits. Planning for college? Tune in to Getting In, a college coach conversation for tips, techniques, and insider perspectives. Hosted by Elizabeth Heaton, a former admissions officer at the University of Pennsylvania, and featuring her fellow admissions and college finance experts from Bright Horizons College Coach. The show shares what colleges are really looking for and how to highlight your hard-won achievements for the best chance at success. New episodes air every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Variety Channel.
The Internet's #1 talk station. #1 talk station. VoiceAmerica.com.
One man is growing old and one man is being told that
Welcome back to Making Life Brighter with host and leading medical intuitive Winifred Adams on the Voice America Variety Channel, your preferred choice for conscious education and entertainment, featuring experts in their field and visionaries preparing the planet for the golden age and beyond. For more information, visit us at makinglifebrighter.com in the media section. Be sure to like us on Facebook at Making Life Brighter. If you have questions or comments, please email us at radio@makinglifebrighter.com. That's radio@makinglifebrighter.com. And now, back to the show with your host, Winifred Adams.
Welcome back, everybody. We have special return guest, Full Colon Commander-in-Chief, Full Colon Russell-J. Gould today. Russell, welcome back. Thanks for being with us today and being here exclusively to talk about your brand new film that's going to drop on the 21st, Piercing Dynasty. And that is technically Piercing-Dynasty, period. So, Russell, why did you title the film Piercing Dynasty?
Yes, so the concept of piercing, when you look at piercing the corporate veil of fiction grammar, which has never been articulated in a now-space scenario, the grammar of communication on contract. And I broke down the protocols and the mechanical methods of how corporate structure is built on a global and galactic level. Therefore, Piercing-Dynasty, because I have built a dynasty of the quantum banking system, and a dynasty of sovereignty that I don't have to actually govern the system that I built, because it is a self-correcting sovereignty adjustment that each sovereign is now accountable for their thinking and accountable for their acts and performances. Therefore,
you went into
I don't
this,
have to judge anyone. Yes.
You went into this in depth in the film, and I encourage everybody to take a listen. You can watch the preview on Making Life Brighter on YouTube on the 21st, the solstice. And we are very excited and honored to have Russell with us here again today, and also to be featuring that film, of which I did the interview with Russell. This is important because you're going to get additional closure, and this film goes deep. These are things that have never been heard before. And, you know, China is made up of lots of dynasties. When you chose the word dynasty, you've created one, but what does dynasty really mean?
Well, dynasty has a characteristic of husbandry, of matriarchy, patriarchy combination to fulfill the generation virilities that I'm under contract with the Global Postal Union corporate structure that was set up by the shareholders at the time. So the dynasty itself is also the compliance and the humility and the sacrifice of compliance to contract that I've had to perform in order to be who I am on this day to safeguard mankind. So it has many tentacles of function when you look at the function of dynasty itself, because it is also deals with household mechanics of what I've set up on a corporate galactic function.
Yes, and you do go into that in the film about that it's not just on planet Earth. There is much more to this story, and I'm not going to reveal it. You'll have to watch it. In 1999, you established what we'll call tactical control of the United States Title IV flag by copyright, and but you did something that nobody's ever done. You filed in to the State Department of Defense your updated version of the periodic table. Why did you have to file into the State Department, especially if department, DE, means no?
Correct. So when I came up with the concept of Homeland-Security in July of 2001, it was the disqualification of the Department of Defense, which was the pronoun adverb. The prefix DE means to separate from. So if you're a defense and you separate yourself from your fence, you've lost functional, tactical command control of the security element of your fence. So I called it Homeland Security in July of 2001, and the fiction copied it at a later date in 2002 calling it Homeland Security without the hyphen, creating an adjective pronoun. Now, I met with the Deputy Director of Homeland Security in August of 2004, and he told me that Homeland Security has zero authorization to exist as a corporation. However, the American people were such beepies, I'm not going to cuss on your show, that they were going to buy into the concept and they were going to be slaves to the concept of the obedience program of what they were promoting. So I told him that that was a scam against the people of the world and the people of this former country. He said, yes, it is, but you know, there's such beepies that they're going to buy into it. You are not, Russell. However, the rest of them are. So it's very unfortunate to see the volition of his thinking to thwart and function in a superior position against the will of the people for control.
And they continue this farce today. So many things were done this way. You corrected many different systems. Name just a few of the ones that you corrected for the people.
Yeah, I actually sat down with the head of FEMA and Homeland Security for the Native tribes this last weekend on Saturday for about a 10-minute conversation, and exactly what I discussed here, he totally agreed with. He had watched Last Flag Standing, and he had a lot of questions, and he really liked the sincerity of my heart and the direction that my moral compass on where I was going with things. So it was a very good conversation.
And so when you actually filed in this periodic table, it had something additional to it. What was the newness to it, and why did you have to file it into the State Department?
Well, the file in the Homeland Security, yes. So it was a function of actually claiming your molecular structure in a now tense scenario, which had never been done on the history of planet Earth. All periodic tables in the history of mankind were placed in a box. So that's why they called it a periodic table. You have the laws of four cornering, which anything in a four corner means it's not, anything within the four corners is not theirs. Therefore, there were no elements within the structure of the periodic table. So I put it in a tetrahedron on trilateral angles and actually put a monoatomic treaty inside the periodic table itself, taking tactical control of the laments of what we call Finding Tom, breaking down the molecular structure of matter on a material, tangible basis, and I hold the copyrights to that. Now, when I did this, the Department of No Offense, the CIA, and the U.S. Treasury pulled me off the streets to have a conversation about what I had just done because they had never seen the structure form of molecular matter as a fact. So it was a very fascinating conversation. I don't want to get into all the details of that. A lot of it's classified. But it was very, very fruitful.
And what did they do with you? They can't really do anything with you, can they?
No, they don't have any subject matter jurisdiction in my case or in the cases dealing with the quantum grammar structure. Fiction and fact can never meet, and fiction doesn't exist. So
in this case, what did the periodic table actually do for the flag, for the people, for banking on planet Earth? Why the new element, and what is it? What's it do?
Well, it claimed things as a fact. All elements were claimed as a fiction, and they don't exist. So it actually made tangible matter for the first time in the structure form of planet Earth in a quantum grammar function.
And then when you are actually creating new contracts and things, this has meaning. And they know that this has meaning. Countries know that this has meaning.
Yes, I sat down with 82 ambassadors at the United Nations, some multiple times, a lot of them multiple times, to, number one, discuss the quantum banking system that I was giving to the world, the crypto-currency that I had copyrighted, and just all the functions. And they were making sure that I made sure that they comprehended, and their Treasury departments comprehended, that we were going to a gold standard, because it was the only tangible means that you couldn't print paper for a derivatives market, and it was the only means of exchange that went far enough back that the ancestors would concur with.
Well, right now there's a lot of dialogue. Even this morning there was a talk on with some different people, and somebody from Miles Franklin and 107, all those folks. and they were talking about money as in like silver and gold. And they were saying that the US, has exported the highest amount of gold ever, like 400 metric tons of it. And this somehow factors into the commerce, the value of silver and gold today. What is that all about? Why do we care if we're exporting 400 metric tons of gold or taking it in? What does that matter to us?
Well, since 1999, the federal government has been thwarting the ingenuity and the creativity of the mining prospectors in the former United States with red tape dealing with MSHA, OSHA regulations, as well as all kinds of nonsensical red tape to make sure that the manufacturing of gold and silver and the actual mining of it was done by big corporate structure and not the private man out here. That way the private sovereign could never really have access to tangible gold for value if a system were to crash. So for years, the Chinese have controlled the creating of monoatomic tools, like what they call the fiction will call it atomic tweezers and all kinds of, just all kinds of chemical extraction devices to thwart the ingenuity and creativity of the American miner. And so outsourcing anything that they make is done through what they call floor sweep operations or corporate structure, which is your MSHA, which would be like your Barrett, your Johnson Matthey, who have Newmont, who have big mining corporations who outsource their gold extraction material. However, from the general public, they have these little coin shops and refiners, and they're just floor sweep operations to doré up the material and send it over to Heraeus over in Germany. So it's a pretty standard mechanic to theft the tangible gold and silver out of the United States and out of our citizenry usage capacity. It's a pretty standard procedure.
So you took down the Federal Reserve and the IRS. What year did you do that, and how did you disqualify them, and why is this even still happening if you did?
Well, because the ignorance of the people is why this is still happening. So I did that in the year 2001. Actually, in January 15th of 2002, I sat down with Bob Frierson at the Federal Reserve in Washington, D.C., giving him the quantum grammar bank charters, explaining to him exactly what I was going to do and how we were going to move the whole financial system, not into a digital cyberspace position, but at tangible gold for value for value. So they're very cognizant of this. And in 2018, I went there to certify it as a key master of the Vatican on the winter solstice. So for sure, a lot of techniques. I don't want to get into the specifics of them, but they're very cognizant that I've changed this whole system over the gold standard.
Well, you've actually done so many things on planet Earth. You are technically all the titles that we mentioned earlier, and then some. Mm-hmm. So what is...
Yeah, there's a lot I don't tell the general public because there's so many bad actors in the world that would steal the concepts. So I keep the fiction banking systems dumbed down, right? I keep them stupid. That's one of my main jobs, is to keep the global financiers dumb, and then simultaneously try to build the education of the grassroots of the people so that they can now take control of the fiction bankers. So I'm busy doing that.
Do you ever see a time that the bad guys will be gone?
Oh, yes. I see it in my mind all the time. I don't see them here now, so it works quite nice in my now space.
In your now space. Well, I wanted to ask you, where were you on the day that Bush Jr. declared war on Iraq?
Yes, I was in Wyoming, and I was contemplating the consequences of the self-demolition derby of blowing up the 9/11 buildings there in New York, blowing up their own World Trade Center. And, to send people to war should be a form of last position. Opening up dialogue to communicate is the first means before you go to war. However, they spun up a scenario, created a boogeyman, which was their boogeyman, right? Osama bin Laden worked for the CIA, right? Same thing with Gaddafi, right? Gaddafi was in the mechanics of his own currency. He was in the mechanics of setting up a big water canal down through Africa, which would have made a utopia. When you go to the desert and you put water on things green up. It's a causality. So they were busy making sure that the utopia wouldn't go down through Africa by taking out Gaddafi and destabilizing that region. And so it was a genocide function put on by the Bush family and their friends and the bankers behind them to destabilize the world, to create chaos, to allow what you're seeing out here today, all this nobody getting along, and they can't figure out why. Well, it happened because bankers with bad volition and controlling functions created genocide against we the people. And as soon as we the people wake up and know that we outnumber those people and we surround them and we tool them up, well, then you'll see much more fruits and much more wonderful things and technologies come forth on planet Earth.
I'm looking forward to that. Now, the Clintons and the Bushes, all those cabal players, they know who you are. Did you ever come face-to-face with them?
Their handlers, yes. My ex-business partner, David Winkle and Miller, worked for the Clintons, and I chose not to be on those contracts or be a part of that. So were they around? Yes. Did they like me? No. I told them that I'm looking forward to all of them dying. They didn't really like that.
Well, did you see them face-to-face?
Several, yes. Not the Clintons, not the Clinton. No, I met the Clinton generals and the Black Op boys, yes. And they were in my labs, and they, that's a whole different theater that the world hasn't seen from me. But yes, the scientific side behind them is in the metallurgy. Yes, I ran across them.
All right, we have so much more to cover. I want to dig a little deeper. We're going to find out why it's called quantum grammar, and why Russell is the Postmaster General of planet Earth. Exactly. We'll be right back with more. You're listening to Making Life Brighter. Stay tuned. And the film is called Piercing Dynasty. So that's /Piercing-Dynasty. And we'll feature it on YouTube on Making Life Brighter on the solstice. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Russell Jay Gould right here.
One man is growing old and one man is being told that his land is not his own now. He has no place called home. He must learn to be and grow and find time to feed his soul. When he learns to be alone, he will find that he is whole. Gonna break.
Having trouble sleeping at night? Needing better digestion? How would you like to optimize your body? Have more peace inside and be stress-free instantly. You can get your own personalized body system analysis by leading medical intuitive and body system health expert, Winifred Adams. Do you know someone who could benefit from a better immune system or a healthier body? Align your health today and make your appointment for your body system analysis with leading medical intuitive and master healer, Winifred Adams. Go to makinglifebrighter.com and request an appointment. Be sure to put radio special along with your name to receive a one-time offer of $50 off your comprehensive analysis. Book your 1-hour analysis today. Be sure to look for the app on iTunes coming soon and find out more about classes, seminars, and how to sign up for the quantum healing meditations. Get into alignment, body, mind, and soul. Go to makinglifebrighter.com and request your appointment today. Be sure to mention radio special along with your name. A brighter, healthier you awaits.
The Soul Connection with Dr. K hosts a forum of expert guests that showcase popular topics that can impact the soul. Weekly, our soul doctor connects with authors, medical professionals, and leaders that share expertise and testimonials. Check out our growing community on site at soulconnectionusa.com. Tune in to Feed the Soul Live every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, or listen on your time on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Stimulating talk
Gets those synapses in the brain firing really fast.
all the time. The number one internet talk station where your opinion counts. VoiceAmerica.com.
One man is growing old and one man is being told that
You are listening to Making Life Brighter, a presentation by the Quantum Galaxy Network for the Variety Channel on Voice America, featuring visionaries, thought leaders, and consciousness experts leading the way as we prepare the planet for the golden age and beyond. Right here on Making Life Brighter Radio with your host, leading medical intuitive Winifred Adams. Be sure to download the app. For more information, go to makinglifebrighter.com under media. Now, back to the show with your host, Winifred Adams.
With full colon Commander and Chief full colon Russell-J. Gould, and he is here to share with us about his new film and his extraordinary life performances that have him in the authority positions that we mentioned earlier. So you can go back. You can always listen to the archives here, and you can go back and catch it again on Voice America. You can listen to it on Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, iTunes, the whole bit. And you can go to Making Life Brighter for any outtakes that we have and other shows that we've done previously. Now we're going to jump back in because in the break, we were talking about a few things, and Russell mentioned one of the run-ins he did have. So Russell, welcome back. And you said that you did see Bush face-to-face. When was that?
Yeah. Well, that was during the court-martialing trial. So I had conducted the world's largest court-martialing in Washington, D.C. in 2004 through 2007.
And when you did that,
And at the trial, I gave my boatswain and midshipman, George-Walker Bush, a command to show up. And he pulled up in his limousine with a bunch of vans behind him with guys in, carrying machine guns and full metal jackets, and it was pretty wild. But I forgot to give him a command to get out of the car. The people that were with me were like, "Oh my God, he's coming!" And he pulled right up at 0900. We were at the Washington Obelisk as keymaster, and I could conduct stuff there. And they looked at us, and then they drove off. And I looked at this guy, Steve. I'm like, "Steve, I forgot to give him a command to get out of the car." They showed, but they didn't get out. So it's pretty interesting, the fact that they would do that. And then a couple of days later, when I identified him as a midshipman, he ran out to a military aircraft carrier and actually conducted a State of the Union address. And he goes, "I must be a midshipman or a boatswain." He was mocking what I had done to him. So it was pretty interesting, watching the theatrics behind that. I know that they were pretty pissed off about it, especially Richard-Bruce Cheney, which is a real tool.
Yeah, they don't seem like particularly honest people, eh? So,
no.
But what keeps them out of your full colon now -space? How do they stay out of your boundary line?
Well, the space-time continuum is a funny thing. It's clear that I'm doing things for the benefit of mankind, and as I do more positive performances for mankind, it seems to, the focus of my security just seems to materialize all around me, and sometimes, people end up in weird places that have come into my space. I've seen people walk into walls and still fall down shaking, saying, "You're supposed to be dead. You're supposed to be dead." I've seen that with witnesses on many occasions. So there's something out there keeping me moving and keeping the grammar system moving in a positive way for mankind. This is coming to planet Earth, whether they like it or not. I'm not going anywhere. And the space-time continuum, whether people believe in it or not, that's on them. But it is a factual thing. And so you better be careful who you cross with in that world, for sure.
So did the cabal ever come to you to try and turn you for your knowledge?
Yes, they've tried to hire me 20, 30 times easy. recently, last February, I was asked to be senior counsel for Elon Musk by the Saudi families in the House of Jordan who finances Elon Musk. But they wanted to chip everybody, and I said, no, thanks, I'm not interested. And then they wanted me to give them the security code secrets for satellite uplink for all Arabic countries in the world, only dealing with Arabic countries, to give them the grammar technology to put satellites into space for jurisdiction. And I told them, under no circumstance am I going to compromise the national security of the people on my continent. Are you out of your bleeping minds? And they offered me $400 million a month, and I turned them down.
That's insane. That's crazy. So they clearly know who you are. Everybody knows who you are. Why is it that it appears, let's say, for the person that doesn't know anything about this story and is new to it, that you aren't out there at the top running the whole show?
Well, they have to keep the facade going for the general public, because you must keep the general public dumbed down. An educated general public, for me, is a very positive thing. I love to see educated people all around the world. There's many beautiful scientists who have technology and techniques to cure the death agenda that's been foisted upon we the people. And so for me, I'm betting on mankind. I'm betting on the people. I'm betting on honesty. I'm betting that people want to communicate, that mankind wants to get along, to not be caught up in an endless war, to not be caught up in a credit and debt system. I'm betting on mankind.
And you're using the grammar to correct and move the now space, or we'll call it even the 0 point, into a position where people can function in peace. So why is it called /quantum-grammar?
Well, quantum grammar is a pluralism of many tentacles, of many things, bringing it down to the now space of finite closure on communication. So it's a math interface, but it's also a quantum-entanglement of many functions to bring it down to the finite, from the quanta, which is a pluralism of mathematics or things, down to a solitary condition of state to look at molecular matter or to look at the condition of mind.
Now, militaries around the world understand that you are the full-colon commander-in-chief, correct?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I get videos, I'm not kidding you, and I've shown some of the people around me, from generals all around the world, from Turkey to Afghanistan, that, definitely stand there and salute me and, say that they're looking forward to working with me to help mankind. So I've seen a lot of, and then here in the States, it's a mixed bag. I had to court-martial a bunch of them based upon the functions that they were stuck in. There's good people everywhere, and they're stuck in a system, and I was doing my best to stop and correct with the education and the knowledge that I had at the time. Things change and circumstances change, but the facts still stay the same. There are no presidents in the United States since 1999.
And so if people recognize you and bring you forward, what happens? Would you be the president? Would you be the leader? How does that work? What are you at that point?
I would delegate committees that the people, based upon the people's needs, right? It's not about what I per se say needs to be done. It's about what the people say that they want for themselves, right? So it's a whole different function of self-governance. I would just look at the mechanics and make sure that the mechanics are correct so that the people have the functions to control the outcome of their lives.
Okay, so the film is called
Delegator of Authorization, but not a dictator on what gets done.
Love that. Love that. Piercing Dynasty, folks. And so we want to bring in Lance, and we want to jump back to the quantum with Russell after we bring in Lance. We've been working here with Trauma to Triumph and using Lance's amazing research and his high-quality product of algae oil. And today we're going to focus on pine needle, and your purchases assist those who are being affected by human trafficking. So welcome back, Lance Shuttler of Ascent Nutrition. Hey, how are you doing today, Lance?
Hey, Winifred. Great. How about you?
Great. Thank you. This is a wonderful day. Happy to have Russell-Jay Gould with us, and it's all about quantum. So we just have a few minutes. Let's jump into the pine needle and your latest research. You said you had something new. What is it?
Yeah. So, okay. There's a compound in there that we talked about recently. Winifred, called shikimic acid. And there's a pathway in many different organisms called the shikimic or shikimate pathway. And this is a quote of a 7-step metabolic pathway used by bacteria, archaea, fungi, algae, some protozoans, and plants for the biosynthesis of folates and aromatic amino acids. Okay, so what that means is it's a crucial step for all of life on this planet, for life to continue. And one thing that has happened that has interrupted this process immensely is the use of pesticides, namely glyphosate. Okay, glyphosate actually interrupts this process and basically stops it as effectively as it can. And so this is part of the reason why us humans and even animals and plants, can be destroyed and broken down by glyphosate, is because this glyphosate is interrupting this crucial metabolic pathway for us. So, as it goes, this pathway actually helps us to create a lot of different compounds. Some of them are serotonin, melatonin, melanin, dopamine, epinephrine, CoQ10, folate, other B vitamins. So, it's something that is literally crucial for the process of life itself. And as we know, glyphosate and many pesticides have been used so immensely that I wanted to bring this information out because I really believe that nature, God, whatever you want to call it, has programmed into these pine needles specifically, and certain species of them as well. The white pine is one of them, to be abundant in shikimic acid. And so even though you're not going to see shikimic acid listed, by the FDA as a nutrient that we need to get in the diet, I certainly argue, and it could be argued, that this compound is now more important than ever, given how prevalent the pesticide usage has been and what this really leads to. I mean, it destroys the gut, which destroys the gut-brain axis and, really shuts down the brain in several different ways.
So, Lance, this is wonderful. And we only have a few minutes left, and we're going to jump on with Lance another day with another installment of this in-depth research on the YouTube channel for Making Life Brighter. Thank you for that, Lance. And you can buy the pine needle over on makinglifebrighter.com. There's a link there. When you buy through that link, Lance will donate to helping pets and disadvantaged pets, and he will donate to the cause for helping the child trafficking and the human trafficking. So help yourself and help another this holiday season. That's what we're doing here in Making Life Brighter. Speaking quantum, Russell, let's jump back into your quantum-banking system and talking about particles. Let's go into how the monoatomics and your gold making with the monoatomics backstops your quantum banking system.
Yeah, so I use, there's different techniques. There's monoatomics, there's unstable matter. So most of this the monoatomics takes a little bit more time because it's time sensitive. However, if you do it in a larger volume, you can definitely produce more. But the unstable matter I bring back through ionic exchange, through electrolysis, to stabilize the matter here now, which is basically allowing electrons to line up so that they give a grain boundary and a function that has a positive ion.
Well, why this is so important is like what we were talking about earlier today with the banking and the movement of all that gold and money is that they're harvesting from the earth. And you're saying you can backstop your banking system without raping the earth.
Yes, that's the value of this. The value of this is you don't have to mine the earth. That the unstable matter, believe it or not, is everywhere. And so we've looked at it from taking it out of algae to taking it out of different matter. I don't want to tip it all off because last time I did, Monsanto came in and bought all the phosphates up to create all the hermaphrodites. So I don't want to exactly say what material works on that, but you just use a little bit of it as the seed, and then the rest just keeps coming. That's
fascinating. We'll have to have you back for more. I'm so excited to drop this film with you next week, Russell. Thank you so much for being here and making life brighter. It's called Piercing Dynasty, everybody, and it is the next most fascinating installment of what the authority is that Russell holds in all of them, like how it comes to pass. You will be so blown away by the information in this film. Thank you, Lance, for being here. And we need to jump into how your system actually helps solve the child trafficking situation, Russell. So we'll have to talk again. Thank you, everybody. Go Jolly. And we'll have you back, Russell. Thank you so much for being here and making life brighter.
Thank you, guys. Thank you
all right.
both.
Go Jolly, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Making Life Brighter with Winifred Adams. Be sure to join us every Thursday at 10 a.m. on the Variety Channel on Voice America for quantum healing information, education, and inspiration with thought leaders and experts preparing us and the planet for the golden age and beyond. Go Jolly!